Hello there, welcome. It is just gone 7 p.m. here in the UK. We have all synchronized now, I believe, with our time zones. So hopefully everyone's back to normal and you've joined us at the right time and not too early or too late. I can't remember which way round it was. But anyway, my name's Rob. I'm with you for the next 2 hours with my co-host, who I'll introduce to you in just a moment. But this is the Synth Network show. We are live. It's, as I said, it's just gone 7 p.m. on the 4th of April, April the 4th, 404 day, as Roland would have us believe. They've been I think they released some update with Serato compatibility to the SP404. We shan't be covering that one because I've got no real interest in that. Sorry. But we will be covering some other stuff. Maybe we should have done because there's not a lot. There's not a lot of news because it is getting to that point. We're now like 4 and a bit weeks away from Super Booth, and I think everyone's starting to store things up ready for the deluge of new stuff that we hope to see in a few weeks' time. But anyway, we have some things to talk about, and we'll stretch them as we normally do, and I'm sure we'll fill them. I've got something special, actually, that dropped on my desk this afternoon and has had me quite interested and excited. But more on that later. Before we do any of that, let's just go through the regular stuff. And let me just remind you that if you could give us a like and a subscribe, that would be fantastic. If you hit the bell, you'll get notifications, so you won't have to worry about time zone changes. YouTube will let you know exactly when the show is coming on and send you a reminder. But do give us a thumbs up during the show. That's really beneficial to our algorithm behavior kind of stuff. If you want to comment during the show, please use the chat facilities on whatever service you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. And if you know someone who doesn't watch us regularly, share the link around, let them know who we are and when they can find us. That would be marvellous. So thank you very much for that. If you want to support the show, there are numerous ways of doing it. The way to do it if you're watching live in YouTube is you can do Super Chat and Super Stickers, where you can donate anything from, I don't know what the lowest amount is. Is it £1 or is it a penny? I don't know. Well, whatever, you can donate that way. You can also support us on things like Patreon, because we're on Patreon, and you can just subscribe to us, I think, for a minimum of $2 or 2.99 GBP, and for that you get access to a whole bunch of exclusive content. So we have ad-free videos and other clips of videos that we don't have anywhere else. We've got lots of sounds for your hardware and software synthesizers, and coming up over the weekend I will be uploading 100 patches for the Cherry Audio Octave Cat that have been donated to us by Gerard. And Gerard and I have been talking on and off the last couple of weeks, and just this morning he sent me an email and says, here you go, here's 100 patches for the Octave Cat, you can stick them up on the Patreon site. So if you've got a Cherry Audio Octave Cat, and you absolutely should have, it's a great synth, we will be posting some patches over there on the Patreon page, just exclusively for our Patreon subscribers and also for our YouTube channel members. And I'll be sticking a link in the YouTube channel members stream chat thing, whatever it is, but I'll put it all in there. So YouTube membership works exactly the same. It's a minimum couple of bucks a month. Do the same thing, and you can subscribe and unsubscribe as often as you like. So if you're finding it a bit tough, because we're all going through some financial hardships, I'm sure, at this time, if you need to switch it off 6 months, switch it off. But if you want to come back again, you can. So it's a nice and easy way to just kind of control your donations. One of the best ways to support us is, of course, through our merchandise store. Yes, we have merchandise, and we've recently added some new things to the merchandise store. For example, we have got the Keith in Watford Synth Network bandana, which Keith in Watford has bought one, and I'm waiting for that to get delivered so we can get pictures. We've got the candles, we've got the posters, we've got, look at this, we've got coasters. There, look at that. Amazing. Real cork bottomed coasters. I've got a couple of those now. So they're getting dotted around the house. So yeah, we've got all of those sorts of things, and you can buy them. There's the Justin Have You vest tops. We've got the My Other Synth Is t-shirts. We've got the throw cushions, iPhone cases, leggings, bottoms, trousers, bottoms, and stickers and jackets and sweat tops and all sorts of gubbins in there. The other thing that you can do, and I always forget to mention this, but I've just remembered, you can actually make a financial donation to the channel through here as well. So you don't have to do the membership thing. You can just do a financial donation through the merch store, but it is all there. So go and check us out. There's the link on the screen, but it's also down below in the description. So if you want to avail yourself of some wonderful merchandise, and we're adding things all the time, and if you have something you'd like me to put on there, then I'll have a look and see if I can do that, and I will make that happen as best I can. So that's the merch store. You can find us across all the social medias, YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, Twitch, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. But Facebook is where we're probably most active. So come and join us there. And if you do join us at Facebook, when you click the join button, it asks you 3 questions. And they're just basically to make sure that you're not a bot, to make sure that you're human. So just make sure you answer those 3 questions. Otherwise, you'll sit there for a few days. And after a few days, I'll think, oh, they haven't seen it. So I will bounce it back to you. And then hopefully you'll fill the questions in and come in and join the fun. So that is that. Just remind you that if you have a question during the show for any one of us, or for just want to make a comment, get our attention, stick a capital Q in front of it, and we'll put it in the bucket and pull it out at the appropriate time, as the actress said to the bishop. So there you go. I think that's all the housekeeping out of the way. Now, I have to make an apology. Our good friend, Mr. Kent Spong, is not feeling very well. So he's decided, quite rightly, to take the night off, and that's absolutely fine. I hope if you're watching, Kent, I hope you're feeling better. Certainly better than you were a few days ago. And hopefully he'll be back right as rain next week. So in lieu of Mr. Spong and his pooches, we have somebody else with cats. We have Mr. Jason Jervis stepping in off the subs bench again. Good evening.
Good evening. Although, unfortunately, the cats are not in the studio. I don't know. The sunshine, the nice weather, I think generally they just want to be outside doing there. But look, it's ready. Oh gosh, we've got Cat Cam 1 and Cat Cam 2 ready to receive fluffy balls. Annoying. I've got treats on the table and everything. There's treats.
Wow.
I think if Tom hears that, he should arrive.
He'll be in. Anyway, how's your week been? Yeah. Because you were here last week.
I was here last week, wasn't I? Yeah, it's been kind of busy. It's gone really quickly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lots of gardening.
I was going to say, how are your arms from the gardening?
Oh, worse. I did a trip to the tip yesterday. Trip to the tip, and removed a lot of the branches that have been felled from my vast estate. So that caused even more. I'm keeping my sleeves rolled firmly down for this episode. But yeah, it's been a tough one. But yeah, good and ready for this.
Excellent.
Ready for the news of April.
Excellent stuff. Good. Well, thanks ever so much for stepping in. Much appreciated, and it's good to have you here. And of course, he was away last week, but he's back this week. Is the one and the only Mr. Andrew Longhurst. Good evening to you, sir. How are you?
I've got a flipping lurgy. Ew. Liz and I both have a lurgy. We got it from, we think, hospitals and things. So listen, whilst I'm here, I did want to thank lots of people who posted very kindly after last week and inquired after what was going on and stuff. And so just a really quick update. We're looking after a family member who has substance abuse and alcohol abuse issues, and it's not easy, and there's nothing you can do that's good. There's no simple solutions. And so the reason I mention that is because A, lot of you have been absolutely wonderful about it. Thank you. It really, really helps. And B, because if any of you have something similar going on in your lives, feel free to reach out. We need to support each other. So I really, really thank you all. Great stuff. And then I've got some more news. Would you like to hear it, Robbie?
Go on then.
Well, as we're here, I've talked a lot about the studios and the fact that I'm going to let them go or do something with them. I have finally concluded a deal this week where I no longer have the financial burden of the studios, but the studios will stay. I'll have access to them. I'll be able to do all the mentoring and the community-based stuff I was talking about doing. That's all going ahead. I don't have to move anything. It's just, and it's with an existing community group, so we have the ability to start reaching out for some funding and start bringing people through. So back on track. Although I feel lousy, it's been a good week in some ways.
That's a load.
So listen, and thank you all.
No problem at all. And all the best to you and yours, and hope everything resolves itself favourably sooner rather than later.
We'll see.
There you go. Indeed. Right, there we go. That's everybody introduced. All that remains for me to say before we sort of kick into the show. Oh, there's me. There's
Robbie
2.0.
Wagyu asked, so I mean,
there he is. There I am.
Robbie 2.0.
Weird. But let's just also say a massive hello to everybody that is in the chat. I shan't name you all because there's so many of you, and we love the fact that there are so many. But I do want to single out Andrew Brooks, who is one of our moderators in the chat. And he's not been around for a little while, but he is back with a vengeance. So good to see you back in the room, sir. And looking forward to catching up with you in person at some point later in the year. And also Ben Musines, the guy behind the wonderful Musines website, which is fantastic. And you should go there and check out all the amazing work that they've done over there in capturing all of our historical magazines. And yeah, it's just great to flick through those things. It's been a massive help to me over the years in research and all sorts of things. So welcome, and thank you, Ben. Thank you, Andrew, for keeping that horrible lot in line. Not that they need doing much of that because they're all pretty good.
They are.
So, yeah, and to everyone else, to all our YouTube channel members who you will notice will have little marks against their names, and they'll be in green. For example, there's Viral Beats. Welcome, sir. And you can see he's got that little logo, and that means that he's a paid up YouTube channel member, and you can do that if you want. You don't have to. You can do anything. It's fine. We don't mind. We love everything that you all do. Oh, there's a super sticker there from the Hand of Lenin, who bought some merchandise actually last week. So I was very happy to see that, and I'm looking forward to seeing the pictures. Thank you very much indeed. Andrew has made his typical donation: 5 years, 1 week, and no cake. There wasn't any cake last week. He didn't miss cake, unfortunately.
I've got cake today. I've got cake today.
We'll be right over.
Yeah. Thank you for your donation. Andrew Brooks, as ever, is donating another £5 and asking me to give AD Vision's event a plug. Can you drop a link in the chat for that, and I'll try and share that in the show.
I've got a Jack plug here.
I thought that said abbreviations, and I thought, gosh, abbreviations is such a long word, isn't it?
Tish.
Plug it.
David, don't ever change except your underpants. Do you say that in a John? That was when John Fox was being interviewed by Adam Buxton on stage in Norwich a few weeks ago at Synth East. I so wanted to stand up and just ask, do you ever get upset by people shouting underpants at you? But he's quite a tall man, and he demands a lot of respect. So
he does.
He was wonderful, and we are working very diligently to get him on the show. He has agreed in principle to do it. So watch this space. We might have John Bloody Fox. But thank you all for your donations. That they are most appreciated, and all go. And it's like the donations, the Patreon channels, the YouTube memberships, the proceeds we get from selling the merchandise is all plowed back into keeping this channel on the air. I would say it probably costs over £1,000 a year, maybe more, to do this and to get the licenses for the software and all of that other stuff as well, and the hardware and bits and bobs. So it's not a cheap thing.
And there's the maintenance and all the other stuff and all the periphery stuff you forget about. It probably comes to about £2,500 a year. Seriously.
Andrew's salary is astronomical.
Oh, so I'm getting triple time today.
You're getting triple time. Triple of nothing.
Nothing is still nothing.
We deeply appreciate every single penny that you guys provide. It keeps us going, and we've been going for 5 years and 1 week. We are now officially into our 6th year. Let's see how long we can keep it going again. Right, okay. I think that is all of the stuff. Don't let me forget, though, we do have a Synthspirations, and then we have a very special. I'm very honoured by this inspirations that we have this week, and I'll go into more detail when we get the time. We'll try and do that at the top of the hour, and not leave it to the last minute like we did with Jeffrey last week. But at least we got Jeffrey in, so that's good. But this one is a special one. You all know him and you all love him. So
and perhaps leave the sound up, which apparently some nonsense monkey did that one week.
I know,
just
right?
played it without the sound on.
Terrible.
Don't know.
How long have we been doing this? 5 years. We still can't get it right. Do I dare check in for volume levels? Is it nobody's complained about volume levels yet?
No one yet.
Acceptable.
Are you acceptable?
Well, apart from the tie, yeah.
Well, it's my Pro Synth network colours, right?
Oh, yes,
Well, exactly.
Also,
so.
have you spotted that as well? See that?
Oh, look at that! He's
Oh
branding
my
on his
lord!
See?
Oh my lord!
Spot that the other week, but they didn't, so I thought I'd point it out. Quite proud of that. That's one of your stick.
By the way, there is AD Vision's event, Waves in the Park. Is that tomorrow? Andy, please let me know. But there is the link. It's in the chat. And if I can scrape that, it's on in bradford.co.uk. Let me see if I can just scrape that in. It's on in bradford.co. Because isn't Bradford City of Culture this year?
I do love Bradford.
Something like that, yeah.
I love Bradford. If I had a choice between Leeds and Bradford, it would always be Bradford.
Yeah. Well, I spent a lot of my youth in Bradford. My grandparents lived there, so
I went to Bradford once with a friend of mine. We met two girls at a holiday camp in Scarborough. This must have been about 1988.
Are you going to Scarborough?
Yeah, and we went to Scarborough. We met these two girls from Bradford, and we drove all the way from Stowmarket to Bradford and surprised them. And so it went surprisingly well because they could have just turned around and said, but no. But I've always got lots of good memories of that.
I'm sure you do.
Yes.
The odd bike shed, perhaps.
The park. Right. Let's see if we can get this. Here it is. Let's share this on the screen.
Yeah.
Waves in the Park is the event. It's on the 26th of April. So you've got a few weeks. It's at Roberts Park, Saltaire, 11:30 till 5. And apparently AD Vision is behind all of this. So there's lots of stuff going on in that very rotunda that you see there, the little bandstand.
So they do have a nice bandstand. It's the best place to play.
Yeah. I remember they had in Chapelfield Park in Norwich, probably still is, the old bandstand. And I used to just get up there in public as a very young boy and dance around and perform to anyone that would watch. Most people just gave me a strange look and hurled abuse.
We've got a bandstand down about half a mile, just over half a mile away, down the hill, and there's a park there with a bandstand, and the local Extinction Rebellion drum band practice there on a Sunday or a Saturday, and it's freaking brilliant to hear it. Occasionally they get brass people coming on. It's great. Cool. It's a really, really good thing. So electronic music, up for that.
Indeed. Right, let's see. Let's do some news because there's not much. So we will string this one out. But this kind of ties into my April Fools that I did this week on the page. And I think I managed to convince some people that I had turned to the dark side and purchased some modular synthesizers. Yeah. And people fell for it. I mean, honestly, do you really think that? But yeah,
it was a big rig as well that you were showing.
I thought, well,
that's what gave it away for me that it was an April Fool. Not that the date wasn't enough.
Yeah, exactly. The one day of the year that we scrutinize every piece of information we read on the internet. We should do that all the time. Just saying,
we should do that all the time.
But anyway, something came across our desk this week that made me think, do you know, if there was one thing that might swing me to modular, it might be this. So let me just play you the little promo video. This is a rather interesting concept, and I will be very interested to know what the modular gang think of this. allegedly the world's first modular synthesizer system with total recall and DAW integration. So it says, and I have no reason to doubt it. There's a lot of digital jiggery pokery going on in the background, but it's a completely analog signal path with a whole bunch of modules. And there is the potential for custom modules to be built to fit into this system. So it's a very interesting prospect. And it's made by Adam Synthesizers, who are based, I believe, in, is it Bulgaria? One of those sort of Eastern European countries. I'm just trying to get the website. Here it is. Let's bring this into the. There it is. Meet the Warthog. It's a lovely name, isn't it? Warthog.
Your Warthog.
Yeah, but it does look like an amazing piece of equipment. So you've got, I think, this you can configure it in a number of ways. But this features the system we see on here. So it's 3 oscillators. Filters, modulation modules, and then in the bottom left hand corner you see this central unit. Every time you plug something in, it remembers what you've plugged it in and where you've connected it to, and so that's how you get this total recall. So I think this, for me, that's one of the reasons I really don't like modular, because I like to be able to get back to things that I was working on before. But I also like to do other things. So the ability to make stuff with modular, store that, rip all the patch cables out, and then turn it on again and just get that patch back without having to put any cables in, I think is wonderful. That's a big obstacle out of my sort of way. Not that I'm going to go that way, but it's an interesting concept nevertheless. You can create all sorts of snapshots. It's got DAW integration, USB and MIDI connectivity. The whole thing can be configured to however pretty much you want it. There is, I believe, no price on this yet. So how much this wonderful technology, the first 50 customers will get a lifetime guaranteed free software upgrade. All firmware upgrades will be available in the future for every customer. So there is no, let me just double check. Yeah, there is no price.
21.
Sorry, go ahead.
It looked like it said 2,100 euros at the top.
Did it?
Didn't it? Yeah, go back to that one.
Yeah, no, that's something else.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's not Warthog. Yeah, it's or is that?
Is that not the Prima? Would that not be the system, the basic system, the Prime system?
That looks like half the size. If you bring it up, it looks like half the size of this. So I can only imagine that this is going to be closer to 4.
Yeah, Warthog.
Yeah, this is Prima.
If that's 2,100 euros, then
it's
Warthog
going to be 4 to 5 grand.
At least, yeah, it's going to be 4 to 5 grand easily. I mean, that's a lot of module stuff for that money. I don't know. I mean, I like the idea of it, but I don't know if people who are into modular are going to really want a closed system, because that's the beauty of modular, right?
I don't think it is a closed system.
No, it's not a closed system.
Yeah, you can put in any of those modules that you like, but it's the central unit that does all the fancy schmancy stuff.
So how does it know? It made my head hurt.
Well, sitting behind everything is a digital processor running some sort of software that is connected, that can detect all the connections and all of the controls. And so when you patch one cable into another one socket into another socket, it remembers that connection in the patch that you're working on. Then I guess you just press a button to save it like you would on any synth.
But when you're patching stuff together and then you unplug and it's remembered where you plug stuff, you still have to plug the cables in, right?
No.
Yes. Sorry, if I may, yes is the answer. It remembers where you've plugged. So if you want to recall a particular patch, as far as I can tell, how it does it is it lights up whichever the first hole is that you plug into, and then it lights up the next one, and you connect a patch across between those two, and it does that all the way through. So it tells you what's plugged. It doesn't give you exactly the patch, but it gives it tells you need a cord from here to here, and then the next cord goes from here to here. So in that respect, it does remember what you're patching. It remembers exactly what you're patching.
Right.
Which is actually a smart idea. Could I give a a view on this?
Of course. What we
So-
pay you for.
Yes, triple time. I remember back in the 80s when I first started wanting to use an SSL series desk. The reason I wanted to use it was because of the total recall, which sounded deeply, deeply wonderful. The idea was exactly like this. You could do a mix and then you'd save it all. And if you wanted to bring it back up at some point, you could bring it back up and that would then recall the entire mix. Only it didn't quite. You had to go through and twist all the knobs until you got them to exactly the right thing and press in all the buttons and all of that stuff. So it kind of was total recall, and it had fader levels and all that kind of stuff, but it didn't remember what you plugged out to externally. And so it was actually a colossal pain in the arse, and you never quite got back to where you wanted. Because this is doing that second thing, the second part of this, which was missing with total recall, which is it's remembering that you've got plugs plugged in and from where and to where, and it just tells you where to plug. That's getting it a lot further down the path. So I'm kind of with Robbie on this, in that if anything was going to persuade me to adopt this, to adopt modular, it would be something like this, where if I just wanted to be able to get back to something, I could, although I fully appreciate and quite like the idea of modular being something where every time you get involved with it, it's a different thing. So this is a good thing, but it's a very expensive good thing.
Well, we don't know the price. We're guessing the price. There is no price at the moment. But yeah, if you're looking at some of the other stuff, yeah. And then of course we have to wonder how much it will cost our friends across in America, what with tariffs and all that. But we won't be doing politics.
Well, we can talk about that later. But the other thing is we haven't yet mentioned. We've talked about plugs and automation and blah, blah. We haven't talked about the sound of it. What does it sound like?
Yeah. Well, again, just to sort of address what you were saying, Andrew, is that if it's going to say it has to be a closed system for it to be able to tell you where from and to, because I can pick up, any of these, and there's no way that machine will know which socket I've plugged into.
Exactly.
In
So I think I think that there is. I was reading because my colleague wrote this up. So they're basically saying the future expansion of the Warthog is not limited to integrating newer types of Adam Synth modules. I think there's an intimation that they might make the stuff that does that, gives the module that capability available, maybe say as open source, and then other module makers can make it compatible with this system. But you can use your own modules in this, but it just won't recall those things. So
won't recall those,
at the moment. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's an interesting twist on it. I am going to go. I mean, normally I avoid the modular stuff at Super Booth, but I am going to go and have a look at this. And have a play and have a chat with the guy.
I want to be a fly on the wall of that in conversation.
It will be interesting.
I see Kent's in the chat.
He is, yes. Welcome, Kent.
Hey, Kent.
And the Silly Fool has only thrown some money into our own pot. But it's just the equivalent. Okay. Family show before 9 o'clock. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Spong. Hope you're feeling better. Also, we had a donation from Steve Bastard over there in Australia. Thank you very much indeed. And Ixorb says a token gesture towards Mr. Jervis into a Sea Island cotton or mulberry silk PSM branded shirt. Only the very best. There we go. So thank you, gentlemen, all three, for your wonderful donations. Most appreciated. When I saw this, I just saw the picture and thought, oh, here we go, another modular system. And then I saw this total recall door integration, and I thought, oh, hello, this might be interesting. And it has piqued my interest. I don't think I'll be buying it because the thing is, the modular stuff that does tickle my fancy or make me go, ooh, is usually incredibly expensive. I'm thinking of Analog Solution.
All expensive.
The TC5000.
The TC5000 Colossus. It's all stupidly expensive. and rightly so. Don't get me wrong. I think it's
I can't see it
Yeah.
at a shot, but there's my AS 500.
yes, yeah. You've got some good stuff.
So has anyone checked out the Prima? Just so that, because I kind of
No.
like to know. This sounds pretty good, but does this sound like, ignoring the automation, or rather the total recall thing, ignoring that, is this 2-3 grand's worth, 4 grand's worth of modular that you'd love the sound of so much you'd be willing to pay that for it? Or are there other solutions? So are you actually only paying for the total recall? I'd really be interested to know that, because I think it sounds quite nice. I'm not sure if it sounds that much nice, but maybe it does. I've no idea. Anyone in the chat?
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of modular being as disparate and as kind of crazy as it is from the four corners of the globe, different, I don't know how much the code would be useful to those people and how adopted it. It'd be great to see that. I mean, for people who need that total recall, but I think part of the joy of modular is not quite getting it right the second time.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of,
I know a
Brooks
lot of the attraction of modular is that it's the moment, and then it's gone. Me personally, no, I like recall.
I like the idea of then it's gone, but I also like the idea of collections of stuff, which is why things like the System 100, 700, the TZ 5000, I like, the big modular stuff. I like those because it's a collection of stuff where you get to know all of that and you understand the topography really, you get to know it really well. I understand what you like about this stuff, Jason, but that for me would be why I would like perhaps something like this. Because modular for me, it's about having that. There is still for me an element of predictability, more about the way the thing works than anything else.
I guess when you get into modular, and that's the thing, is when you're through the door, that's when it becomes more like the sweet shop. That you want to try a cola cube, you want to try, a bit of, or what are those aniseed twists? You want a cop, you want a cough candy twist. That's the one. And you want a bit of everything. But before you go through the doorway, it's daunting. So you think, I just want something that's complete, so I can use this. That kind of takes away a lot of the draw and the possibilities, and it limits the possibilities, I think, because modular is insane and it doesn't make sense unless you're in it. And I think that's the difference, is that as soon as you go through, and I will consider myself an acolyte, even maybe, just the beginnings of my journey. And I've been doing it for a couple of years now, and I still don't really know where I want to go with it. And that's in itself quite exciting. So having a complete system for me is the complete opposite of what I want out of modular. I've got synths for that. Really good synths. Or somebody else has thought I want those things. So, yeah,
absolutely.
But that's about, there are different people with different ways of doing this stuff. So, I mean, and that's the thing. We know that from all the people in the chat, there are some that like the complete randomness, some that want absolute predictability, and all the things in between. In fact, Wagoo, so it's modular where you have to clear the browser history. That's modular, full stop. So this is what Wagoo's put. And that kind of makes sense to me. That kind of makes sense.
I think there's a lot of
standard. Yeah,
there's still a lot of scope with modular that could make it more or less attractive to people like me. But that's certainly that. When I saw it, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go and have a look at that. I don't think I'll ever be able to afford it, but I might be interested in what it does. So I've bought gimbals and microphones, and I've got cameras, and I'll have Peter by my side, so we'll be filming some stuff. Not a lot. We're not going to do a sonic state, but we'll be filming some stuff at Super Booth, and I will try and get over to see Adam Synths and see what that's all about. But that's the Warthog. AdamSynths.com is the website address. You can go and check it out, watch the video, read all about it, and see if that tickles your fancy.
An interesting device, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And talking of modulars that do tickle my fancy somewhat.
Sorry, I know I do this, and you hate me for it, interrupting. But
right,
do you think? Yeah, I know. Do you think they will also? They say you can put additional modules in. There doesn't seem to be much room there, or swap them out. Do you think they'll be expanding it so you can do a 3U rack, whatever, 3 rows rather than just the 2 they've got there? Do you think they mean that's
I
entirely
don't think the rack.
customizable?
Yeah, they've probably made a case for this, but you can probably stick it into any case because it'll just conform to the Eurorack standard. So whatever you want.
So this is just their case. You're not buying the case necessarily, right? Okay,
they might supply this as as a system, although I don't know whether they're supplying it as individual modules, which I'm sure they will, or modules in a collection. But yeah, again, watch this space.
Does look fascinating.
Yeah, it does.
It looks fascinating.
And as I said, talking of modular synths that might sway me but can't because they're so flipping expensive. Tom, give me a discount. Tom's been posting some videos of his wonderful TC5000, which he debuted at Synthfest in October last year in Sheffield. And there are a couple of videos posted up. Well, actually, there's about 4 or 5 videos in the last week or so, and I've picked out a couple. I will flip between them just so you can get an idea of what this thing sounds like. This is a couple of demos from Tom. Have a look at this. I could listen to that for ages. I really could. Before I say anything else, the one thing I do want to say is to Mr. and Mrs. Carpenter, thank you for making Tom.
Yeah.
because he is one of the most wonderful human beings you're likely to
Oh,
meet. He
definitely.
also makes incredible synthesizers, and they're utterly unique. Every single one of them has his DNA in there somewhere, and they just sound incredible. Yeah, literally. Yeah, I think if you open up the back, there's probably a little something that he's left in there for you. They are amazing things.
Yeah.
And that when I saw that TC5000, it was just breathtaking. And I think I've recounted the story that Ty turned up at Synthfest, and the first thing I said to him, because I know what he's like with Tom's stuff, I said, "Have you been to see Tommy?" I said, "Oh, is he here?" I said, "Come with me," and I took him round to that stand, and within 30 seconds, Ty is, I kid you not, he's on his tippy toes and he's bouncing like a child. He's like, and then that was it. He was gone. Him and Tom were off talking, and I knew deals were being done and numbers were being discussed. But yes, an incredible thing. I honestly, I would break my modular duck for that. But 24.5 grand.
So for years I have lusted after, from the very beginning, a System 700. I like the Moog modular. I loved the EMU modular. I like the System 100. All of these different, the Polyfusion, all of these different things. The 2500. I really, really wanted the 2500. And the Colossus is a good thing. And for some people, that's a brilliant thing. This is the first time since I fell in love with synths back in the 70s, probably, that I've actually just put all of my bets onto one thing and all of my love into one thing. I adore this TC 5000, and because I'm doing this community thing, I'm going to see now if there's a way of raising a grant to get one of these bought so that people can play with it. And it is just my favorite. Did you, out of interest, did you hear the sort of the evolving choral thing he did with it? I mean, it's just because he's done all these different sounds as well. It doesn't sound like anything, it does so much more than you expect. I adore this. Tom, you're a freaking genius, mate. You're
and of course,
a genius.
This isn't a clone of a 2500. All the modules are Tom's own designs. All he has cloned, if you will, is the user interface, which he just felt was an absolute dream. Yeah, and
he did with the
I showed it to Dina. I took pictures of it, say, at Synthfest, and I straight away was, sending these to Dina, and Dina was just like, bah. That's amazing. She fell in love with it as well. So that was rather cool.
It's the evolution of the 25 and so many others. It's just a brilliant piece of kit. I very much want this, and for the first time ever, I'm looking at how I can try and raise the necessary 20-30 grand or whatever to do a community-based thing.
To buy it for you.
Well, if I can get some grant money to buy it, then I will, because then people can come through and use it. It makes it available to other people, and that really is what I do with it.
That's how synthesizers were born. Studios would buy them, wouldn't they?
They would have laboratories. A lot of the
Universities would, university music departments. So people, So
agencies as well. So a lot of the sort of the Moog modular stuff was, used by bands because it was in a studio that was being used by an ad agency to make interesting
futuristic sounding
bubble gum or mouthwash.
That's it. Indeed. But just a brief interlude there with Tom Carpenter of Analog Solutions and his amazing TC5000. Analogsolutions.co.uk is the website. Go and check them out.
Just go and buy all their stuff. Even, the Fuse box, I had it out on this week, both Jabbing and Jim and on the World of Synths on Wednesday. And there's nothing like his synths. Nothing. It sounds like if you can't afford to, or you don't want to risk buying a vintage instrument because of the sort of costs of upkeep, buy an Analog Solutions synth, because it's the closest you're going to get to a vintage sounding synth new off the shelf.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just got something that nothing else has. So that's that's what you want. Go and get one.
Indeed.
Fuse box is not that expensive, really.
So yeah, it's just one of those things I love. I can't wait to see it again. I don't know where we're going to see it this year, because Tom generally only does the one show, which is Synthfest, and of course Synthfest is not happening this year. It's taking a fallow year, so we will see.
But haven't they got a stall in Bristronica? Aren't they?
Sound on Sound are kind of putting some weight behind Bristronica this year as well, so they're still going to be there. Maybe Tom. I did think.
I will have words.
Because Bristronica must be closer to him than. Maybe he's kind of in between. No, he's probably in between, isn't it? Yeah, probably.
It's not so much going. When you think about it, going across the country is one way, but if you go down, then you got to go back up.
Yeah,
it's always harder going back up after an event, whereas going side to side is easier.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Good point. Let's talk about something that is old but new and has come back.
Not Jackson.
When I got the news about this, I was quite made up. But I was thinking, hang on, I still use the old version. It still works fine on my computer. But anyway, it's brand new, but it's old. Recycle has been brought back by no longer Propellerhead, but Reason Studios. Let's have a little look at one of its most famous users.
I like to use Recycle because it emulates that thing that we're talking about of the SP1200 sampler, because then it chops it up nice, and it's very easy to chop it up. On the SP, you had to load it, copy it, but that copy you had to chop just to the little one note, and then you had to delete all the other stuff and then copy it again, delete, get that other next note, delete all the other stuff. It was like this whole process, and so it was just hours. And this takes 30 seconds. You just open it up, boom, sensitivity, blah, blah, boom, 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 then you got your beat. And then what tempo do we want? 101. Whoa, and I know. And so anyway, this is what I do when I'm making music, is I just kind of just fuck around with beats, and then usually just pause for a while and say, wow, aren't computers cool?
They are, aren't they? A little bit. Recycle is back. For me, it never went away. I used to use this with my Akai samplers all the time. You'd sample something in, you'd spit it into Recycle, chop it up, spit it back out into the sampler in Akai format, and everything was mapped for you and time stretched and matched. It was brilliant. Loved it. Don't necessarily use it as much now, but as a Reason user, I will still use it to chop beats up and then just spit it into the Rex file players in Reason itself. So they brought it back, but not only have they brought it back, they have updated it for modern systems. So you can run this on Windows, Mac, including Apple Silicon, but also you can run this on the a Windows ARM-based system as well. So they're thinking ahead. Ooh. So it's been fully updated, and they've slightly sort of polished the interface a little bit. Not much, but it's all very familiar. They've just kind of smoothed it out a little bit. But all the features are there, and it's completely free of charge. You don't have to pay anything for it. You can just go and download it now. They've got a big contest going on, as you saw probably as I was scrolling past it there. And of course, the Rex standard is supported by pretty much any and every digital audio workstation that's out there. I think most people will use that. I mean, it even works in Motu Mac 5, and I guess therefore should work in UVI Falcon as well. You don't necessarily need a massive system to run this, but yeah, it will run on Mac OS 10.15 and above, and that's all you need for it. I mean, Andrew, you were saying to me during the week that you were using Recycle quite a bit back in the day. You're muted. You're muted.
Unmute you.
What a twat.
Honestly.
So, yes, I did. Because I was really, I was sort of an early beta tester and did an awful lot of stuff for Akai, for the MPC series, the 900, the 1000, all of that stuff. And as soon as Reason became available, I was just on it. And it was brilliant. The fact that you could, transmit the samples, break up a loop, transmit all the samples, the individual samples, to a sampler like 900 or 1000, and then use the kind of swing function with quantizing inside of Notator, which was my favorite, and it just had the best swing of anything. And you could just get some extraordinary sounds, and you could turn stuff backwards, forwards, and all that kind of stuff. Thing is, then I started working for EMI, which I know I never mention, but with the Ultra Series sampler, it had something called beat munging on board, one of the processing things, which was a brilliant tool. It did the same kind of thing, but it did it in the box, and it did a whole bunch of other stuff as well. And so I kind of stopped using it, and I'd not forgotten about it exactly. But when I saw this, I said immediately, as soon as I saw this, I said, right, I'm downloading that. So I have, and I've been playing around with it a little bit the last couple of days, and it just reminded me why I loved it so much. It's a brilliant thing. Get it. Just get it. Yeah. It's free. Get it. It's a wonderful thing.
Thing is, I remember when I bought it brand new, it was a couple £100. It wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was quite expensive.
It was.
I've still got. In my lockup, I've still got the original box with the original manual and the original CDs, all there.
I think I probably have somewhere as well.
So there you go.
Got a box in the
Jason,
loft.
were you ever a recycler?
Yeah. I was. This hits me right in my time with sound control. So all that kind of stuff. So we had, NFRs of all the stuff. So we would. But personally, so I sold loads. Probably sold you one. But personally, I would use it inside. I had an Akai sampler, and then a Akai sampler and a Yamaha sampler at the same time, because I think Yamaha samplers are the best. But yeah, I'd use it always inside software, so I'd never really use it outside. I don't think in the way that perhaps you guys would, but certainly it was an essential bit of kit. It really was, and certainly for stretching, making sure everything was bang on in time.
Yeah,
brilliant. So you could change the tempo of your track, and you loops. And actually the way it breaks up as well, I think that's quite nice. I think it's kind of glitchy, and I think that's going back 20 years, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of that was kind of key to some of the sounds that I was producing.
It was part of the character, wasn't it?
Crunchy, yeah. And it went too clean, and I think that's why I started getting hardware again. I think because I wanted some of that dirt back in my life.
I was always surprised that they never created Recycle within the Reason environment and create a Reason module that essentially did. I mean, I know you've got the Rex file players. It's Dr. Octorex is the current one, and you can do a lot of the stuff. You can do all of the splitting in there, but it's not quite as easy to use. It would have been nice to have a nice big rack unit that was just recycled, and you could just do everything in there. But
visually, it was really good to work with. So if you weren't quite on a beat, or you wanted to change where the beat fell, you could actually manually do that and that was the thing. It was a very visual environment to do this in, and it worked. It just worked really well.
Yeah. No,
zooming into your zero crossing points as well. So
horrible. I just love the fact that I could take something, split it, get it all done, and then just say export Akai, boom, and it would go in, and my S6000 had everything in there that I'd just done, and then I could just play it from there. It was quite the thing at the time, but I think nowadays the kids just don't understand how good they've got it.
In the 2000s, I think I was using the kids. In the 2000s, I think I jumped over to Cakewalk for a decent while because a project came in on it, and I had to learn it quickly, and I liked it. And I used Reason a lot for that. I used Reason a lot with Cakewalk, although Cakewalk had its own tools, but Reason just did its thing so well. And it did have a sound, and I think everyone that used it had their own way of working with it and their own signature sounds with it, which is great.
Yeah. So they've got a competition running over at the reasonstudios.com website. So if you go to reasonstudios.com/recycle, you can download your free copy. You can also download this loop or sample, and they want you to recycle it and do something with it. And the winning entry will get a year's free subscription to the Reason Plus package, which is everything that you've got for an entire year for no money at all. So go over and have a play with that. But if you're of our age, go and have a reminisce, because it is brilliant. But the thing was, I'd got the last update version that I had was, I think, 225, I think it was. I installed it on this Mac here, and I always tested it once I'd installed it to make sure it was and it was working. It was fine. But this is optimized, so it's fine. I've got this now, and everyone gets it for free. I had to pay a couple hundred bloody quid for it back in the day.
Well, that's
Yeah, but you've made your money back on it, haven't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the
No, it's
thing
good
with
to
these
see.
tools.
and so have they, which is why they're
Absolutely.
giving it away free. And that you got to respect that.
No,
No.
I know they can't do it because a certain company called Roland won't allow them. I
Oh
believe.
yeah,
But it would be nice to have
recreate.
Rebirth
Oh,
back as well, because they
absolutely
did
love-
make it free, didn't they? After they killed it off, they created the website called the Rebirth Museum, and you could go in and download the ISO of the disc and then burn it yourself and then install it. But then they just pulled the plug from that.
Still got it. Still got
Yeah,
it.
but it won't run
I've
on.
got a-
Don't think it'll run on these things.
You
There
can
is an iOS
sandbox it.
version.
You can.
There was.
can.
Oh yeah, if you've got a VM, yeah, absolutely. You can run it on that.
It runs.
But if you, I think, because they released a version of it on iOS for the iPad back in the early days of the iPad, and I think if you've still got an old iPad and you've still got your account, you should still be able to get hold of it.
Wasn't there someone that did a version of Rebirth?
Quite possibly.
One of the major puppies. I can't remember which of the software people it was did it. I think we reviewed it a while back,
Do we?
probably last year sometime. But I'll have a look.
Yeah.
I'll have a look.
I mean,
it would be nice.
the price we paid for it as well. I mean, you think about what Behringer are doing with the hardware.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not much more. Well, it is much more, but you know, it was 80 quid, wasn't it? 89 quid, I think.
Yeah,
back in the day. Is that right?
Yeah.
I remember that correctly. Wasn't a lot of money even
Yeah.
then, but yeah, you can at least buy a fake TB303 for that.
Indeed.
Whoa, Jack
Absolutely.
agrees.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
To whom?
What time is it, Robbie?
It's nearly 8 o'clock.
Good.
It's time for cat treats.
Time for cat treats, and maybe it is time for a little bit of Synspirations, I think, because I did promise it, and I'm not going to forget it. So let's do that. We have got a couple more news stories to go through, so we are doing okay for time. Excuse me. So, Synspirations. This is going to be a goodie. Let me just line it up. Do I have to? Yeah, I do that, and I get that in there, and I do that, and hopefully I will be able to put that on the screen, start it up, and we will see this week's Synspirations. Now, I started watching this guy's YouTube channel years ago. His whole demeanor, his personality, his skills are infectious and incredibly enjoyable. He's a bit of a YouTube staple, should I say. And he doesn't limit himself to any particular type of instrument in terms of electronic instruments. He's a big fan of the DX7, which I guess is why I have a soft spot for it. But he is known as Woody Piano Shack. And I have tried to get Woody, very politely have emailed him a couple of times and said, come on the show. I'd love to have a chat with you. I'd love to sit down and talk with you. And Woody is, he likes to keep himself to himself. He doesn't think he's anything special. And therefore, he kind of just says, thank you, but no thank you. And that's fine. Completely respect that. But if you are watching Woody, I know he does, because he tells me he does. Whether it's live or on catch up, he watches every show. If you would ever reconsider coming on, we would love to have you. But this is the next best thing, because Woody has done a Synspirations for us, and it's a really good Synspirations, because Woody is famous for playing, and he plays all the way through this Synspiration. So sit back and enjoy 7 or 8 minutes of Woody from Woody Piano Shack on the YouTube. Here he is with his Synspirations.
Oh, and thanks for having me on the show. I got the Arranger keyboard out today, especially for you, Kent and Andrew, because I know how much you appreciate it. Anyway, Synthspiration. The first time I heard a synthesizer on a pop song, for me and millions of people around the world, it was probably this. Let's go up an octave. That was my first exposure to synthesizers. I remember learning how to play this from the sheet music on the piano. As a very small kid, Fun fact, by the way, this song, Popcorn, is my most viewed video on YouTube. So that's how it all got started. And now, yeah, it's strange. Bit of a twist of fate or a coincidence there. Anyway, the next thing was songs like this. That was a huge inspiration to me and hundreds and thousands of other wannabe synthesists all around the world. Went something like this. Now, the amazing thing about this song is it had 4 different sections. I was fascinated by all of them. That was the main riff, of course. Then you had the... If I play it right. Then there was the second part that went like this, or the third part. And that beautiful, like, climax to the song. Check this out. I got such a kick from playing that. And then, of course, closely followed up with this. Sorry for the wrong notes. Absolutely loved that stuff. Wow. And yeah, listen to those tracks today. That was Our Friends Electric and Cars by Gary Newman, Tubeway Army. Even today, they still sound super fresh and cool, which is unlike most stuff that was made at that time. This is the late 70s. I remember recording this. I didn't have these records myself. I would take a little mono cassette recorder and record it in from the radio and listen over and over again. But the main way I used to enjoy these songs, I remember going to Eddie Moore's Music in Bournemouth, and back in those times you could buy the top 40 hits as sheet music. Yeah, and I remember buying the sheet music for Cars and Our Friends Electric with my pocket money. Back in those days, yeah, this is kind of funny, but the pocket money that I got was just for practicing piano. If I practiced my piano lessons, then I got some pocket money. And also my parents would give me a treat. They'd give me a bottle of Guinness every week. Yeah, bit strange, but that's 70s parenting for you. Then we get stuff like this a little bit later. How would that go? It goes something like this. Heard this on the radio. Kraftwerk, The Model, a huge hit. It was #1 for weeks as far as I can remember. I just loved all of the riffs. Hugely influential. Many Kraftwerk diehards will say they didn't like it because it was too commercial, a bit of a sellout. But for me, yeah, wow, absolutely beautiful. I just love these songs with powerful synth riffs. And then we have stuff like this, 4 Pretty Boys from London. How would that go? There we go. And of course, there we go. Yeah, so that was a huge influence as well. Then I started hearing songs like this. Let's go up an octave. My family were very supportive of me being a musician, and by this time we had a couple of synths in the house, an MS-20, Korg MS-20 and a Roland Juno 6. I remember playing all of these songs on those synths and having a blast. By the way, I still have them both, and I need to talk to you sometime about this, Kent, because both of those are back in the UK, but they haven't been powered on for 40 years. I don't quite know what to do with them. So yeah, I'd love to have a chat with you one day about that. Moving on, yes, finally then, this guy was a massive influence to me in the mid-80s. Not just the music, although that was a huge part of it, but the fashion, the hairstyle. Yes, I bleached my hair and spiked it up and tried to look a bit like him or copy the style fairly unsuccessfully. But we're talking about tracks like this. So the riff would be... And one of my favourite synth riffs of all time, check this out. And then it would answer on the other side of the stereo field. Then it would go down to this. So nice. Yeah. So nice. I had so much fun playing that riff for hours. We are talking, of course, about Howard Jones, a massive influence on me back in the day. I'll finish off with one final anecdote. I hope this hasn't gone on too long. I apologise, Robbie, if that's the case. Yeah, back in the day, I was 15, 14, something like that, and probably younger actually. But back in the UK, every classroom had a piano in the corner, an old beat up, upright piano. I was a kind of shy guy, but I remember once when there was a break between classes, probably a rainy day, so everybody was in the classroom, I shyly went over to the piano and started playing this kind of stuff, maybe some Michael Jackson. Something like that everybody recognized. And wow, the response I got from my classmates was amazing. And I realized I could do something that nobody else could do in the classroom. I was not by any means one of the cool kids, not particularly good looking, not good at sports, not very smart, kind of shy and quiet. But when I got to the piano, yeah, I got such a positive reaction from my classmates. It's just amazing. And that's what set me off really as a performer. It's something I've continued doing to this day. So yeah. Finally, before I go, I just want to say to Robbie, Kent, Andrew, thank you so much for everything that you do for this synth community. I love the show. You don't often see me in the chat because I typically listen on catch up during the weekend. Yeah, I listen to the show as I'm doing my chores or going for a walk or something. But really, the show is one of the highlights of my week. So thanks very much for that. Cheerio.
What can I say? I'm incredibly humbled. It's like, when you meet one of your idols and they tell you that they like you as much as you probably like them. It's rather nice. I like that. Thank you, Woody. I don't know if you're watching live. Yeah. Oh, he's so good. What are we doing there? Just leave it alone. Yeah, so thank you very much indeed, Woody Piano Shop. Please go and subscribe if you haven't already. Oh, there he is. He's in the chat, cringing and blushing.
He's in the chat. He's not on a walk.
No, mate, the honour was all ours, and we really enjoyed that. And representing the Arranger keyboard, even with the T-shirt as well. I thought that was very, very well done.
May I?
Hang on, massive round of applause for Woody.
Go on. Yeah,
that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Woody. Go on. What do you want?
So sorry, Woody. I know that Kent and I both take the mick terribly out of Arranger keyboards. It's because we spend too much money on these. That's what it is. But what makes a musician is someone that cannot imagine not doing music. You are that, and you've been doing the synthesis thing. Don't for a minute think we wouldn't love to have you on the show. You've got some great stories and I really enjoy your channel. So thank you for that. That was a great synthspiration. Thank you.
One of the best.
Absolutely.
And if you want to watch that one in isolation without any having to find it in the show or anything like or any adverts, it will be going up on our Patreon channel and also to our YouTube channel members as well. So if you're one of those you've connected to us via one of those platforms, That will be there hopefully sometime over the weekend, along with the new free sounds that we've got from Gerard. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Woody. Just deeply honoured that you did that for us. Very, very, very happy and very flattered. So thank you very much.
And you can play a damn sight better than I can.
Play a damn sight better than most people. Yeah, absolutely.
Play.
Yeah. And I like the fact that when he did New Song, he brought in the piano riff that was on the new. There was he did a later version. Howard did about a year or so on the 12-inch album. And he incorporated that whole sort of piano bit into the song, which made a nice deviation from all the synths. I really like this, and well done, Woody, for including that. Big Hojo fan here as well. Right, let's get back to some news items. Now, this one, you guys probably I don't think I told you anything about this, because this is the thing that came across my desk a couple of hours before we went on air. So I was contacted today.
News.
Yes, I was contacted today by a gentleman who found me via my work at Gear News, and his name's Paul, and Paul runs a site called Bad Dog Designs. Here is their website. He says, if I can just do that, there we go. And Paul's main product that he makes at Bad Dog Designs are Nixie tube clocks, which are these gorgeous. Look, I mean, these are works of art. Now, unfortunately, the war in Ukraine has kind of put the whole kibosh on getting these Nixie tubes. And whilst there are some other manufacturers from around the world that produce it, they're just not of the same quality. And the originals have now, not just doubled in price, but doubled in price and beyond. So the whole Nixie clock business seems to have taken a bit of a hit, and so he decided to maybe branch out into doing something that speaks to another one of his hobbies, which of course is making music electronically. And so I was very flattered. He emailed me today and said, "I'd just like your thoughts on this thing that I've done. It's a drum machine, and I wondered if you'd sort of give me some pointers and so I said, yeah, go on, let's have a look. So over the course of the last few hours, Paul has been sending me some pictures and some video footage and some audio, and I very, very quickly cobbled those together into a little video, which I'll show you just now. But we'll talk about this. The reason I want to sort of speak about it today is just to kind of put it into everyone's minds, and also get some feedback for Paul. So I've invited Paul to come and watch the show tonight, and also we're going to try and get him on the show once he's got a unit that's complete, because it's still in prototype stage. So let me shut up talking and let me play this video. It is just some still images and some video that I cut to 3 little rhythms that he produced and recorded literally this afternoon. So this has all been very hurriedly put together, but have a listen to this, and we'll see what you all think afterwards. So there you go. That is what I believe is, I hope I'm going to pronounce this correctly, the Syncom 80. And
like it.
The inspiration for this, I'm going to refer to my notes here because I haven't had time to memorize them. So basically, Paul said he was, I'll read this as Paul wrote it. I was an avid reader of E&MM magazine, and around 1983, they published a DIY drum synth called the Syntom, and then followed it with a cymbal, and finally a hand clap module. I've taken the designs, updated them, replaced some of the obsolete components, added some bits, removed some bits, and made it modular. So there's a common power bus and a stereo audio bus, and you can plug as many modules together as you want in any order. But he's basically come up with the format that you see here, which is 4 drum sounds across the top, and then you've got 3 cymbals and a clap. And they're produced in this panel here. Now, I did ask him, had he considered breaking these out into individual drum modules, because I know what these modular guys are like. And the Eurorack fans would love just maybe one of the drums or maybe a couple of these, but just to stick them in their rack. And he's definitely something that he's considering. The unit, as you saw there, which let's have a look. It kind of looks a bit like this. This is an prototype idea for a case. This will feature MIDI, 5-pin MIDI, and also stereo audio outs as well. I did ask him some questions in case anybody is thinking about, and I did ask, first of all, did he have any plans to build a dedicated sequencer for this so that it could be a completely standalone device? And there are currently no plans to doing that. I did ask him about modular, and he said that was something he was considering. I asked him about the MIDI connectivity, and that there is that. And I'm not going to get into price right now because it's all still very much in the prototype stage. But I think the prices that he was discussing with me seem pretty reasonable for something like this. I mean, he's kind of describing this as kind of a cross between an early Simmons and the original. When I say MPC, I don't mean Akai MPC. I mean the... what did MPC stand for? Something percussion company, music percussion company or something. They're a British thing, and they had these kind of briefcase drum machines, didn't they? DSM 1 and 2. So it's kind of a cross between that. But I just love the fact that he's dug up these old circuit ideas from a magazine and improved them and then stuck them into these modules, which look and sound, I think, really, really cool. Thoughts? What do you... where's Jason?
Where's Jason gone? Don't know.
Well, hopefully he'll come back soon. But Andrew, what do you think of this?
I really like this. I mean, I think if he's going, to really add something to it, here we go. Jason's coming back. I think to really make the most of this, it would be useful. It would really work to have his own sequencer, his own way of triggering patterns or doing something, because then he could sell it as a standalone unit as well. Yeah. Though I understand that you could connect this to another drum kit or other triggers, or you can connect it to the modular. But I think having a sequencer on board,
exactly, BeatStep Pro would go brilliantly with this.
Ideal, just having it so it's self-contained would be a good thing. But I like the sound of it.
You've got trigger points on here, so you've got 3.5mm trigger points, and you've got trigger buttons on there, so you can just fire them off as and when.
And there are 8 outputs on a BeatStep Pro.
I love a self-contained unit. So, but I appreciate that Paul is effectively no better description. He is a one-man band, and his skill set, by his own admission, his skill set maybe doesn't stretch that far yet. But yeah, I thought this was incredibly good.
Before I lost power, I like the idea of it being a standalone unit over it being individual modules. I mean, obviously that would get around the sequencer aspect, but I mean, I'm sure there's got to be sort of almost pre-existing, even maybe open source sequencers that you can reference and build it as a drum machine.
Yeah.
I love the sound of it, and it really doesn't sound like anything else. It's got a hint of that kind of organ top, sort of rhythm machine, which again I love. I prefer if I'm going to say Desert Island, I can only take one drum machine, and it has to be a Roland. It's a CR78.
Yeah.
That was my only Roland drum machine that I would take with me. And I like that aspect that it doesn't sound. It's not trying to be anything other than it is. So yeah, very, very interesting. And obviously this is prototype era, right? So it's the beginning of his journey. How exciting that he's reached out and said, what do you think? We like it. Yeah. Do this. Or maybe do this.
In the last few months, I have been very much in a kind of drum machine.
Lindrum.
Lindrum, the RD78. And I just thought, this is great. And I get the whole thing about the lack of the sequencer, or just a very simple sequencer, some just a 16-step XOX type thing.
So
but
there's a question here in the chat which is worth addressing. So I get that you would like it to look like an Enigma, but that would then mean the valves that he needs to power that are from the Ukraine. That's why he stopped making the clocks, which is why he's making this. And remember, this is an early design. I quite like the look of it, I have to say. So
it's very
I get what you're
utilitarian,
saying,
isn't it?
Nick.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but I'm sure he can work on the design. He does some beautiful stuff already. So, but it's it's a beautiful looking. I quite like it as it is. I'm sure it'll get better. Built-in sequencer, though, I would have thought would have been great.
So Paul and I have been sort of back and forthing via email all afternoon, and I'm very excited about how this works out. And he been asking about how much he should charge for it, and I asked if he'd consider doing crowdfunding maybe to get the ball rolling. Obviously, that's quite a scary thing for somebody who's never done that before to get into, because there's all sorts of risks involved. But I think that our community is very comfortable with doing Kickstarter things, and if there are delays, I think a lot of the time I see when a Kickstarter project is being completely genuine and upfront and saying, look, we've had some issues and production is going to fall back by a few months or so. Our community is generally like, that's fine. Take your time, get it right. So I don't know.
Would he welcome input from people in the chat who would want to perhaps give him direct feedback as well, or is that down to him to get in touch with them?
It's entirely up to him. I mean, what I would like to do, as I said, I'd like to get Paul onto the show once he's got a properly fully working module that he's happy to demonstrate and show online. I've offered my services in terms of helping make some video content of it and getting the word out there. So I will always get behind something that excites me, and this does excite me. It's a very simple drum machine that has a sound of a time that I was very fond of, and is beautifully simple both in its looks and its operation. And I'm quite keen to get my hands on it. I'd like, it'd be nice to, if there were, was the chance of getting one of these out onto a show floor, say at Bristronica. And unfortunately, obviously, Synthfest is not on the cards, and Super Booth is too close and probably too expensive. But it would be great to get this just in front of people to gauge the interest. And I think Paul is in a position where, once he knows that there's definite buyers out there, and once I think that's going to have to wait until he's firmed up a price, because the cost of things is going up all the time, as we know, daily.
It's got to be worthwhile,
and he's got to do it so that he at least at the very least breaks even and makes a little bit of pocket money from it.
And there are also lots of other people out there doing this kind. Not this, but doing synth projects, doing electronics, musical instruments, who may have some ideas, and maybe there's some collaboration that he might. I don't know if he's interested in it, but collaboration. Talking to some people that might say, well, what about if we provided you with some effects, or if you did this bit, maybe we can do something together. It just, it's a good thing, but it would be nice, maybe having a separate mixer where you could throw it out for some effects, even if it's a spring reverb or something, or a delay or something. Those kinds of things just add that little bit more, don't they? They add that bit of sparkle.
But
a compressor.
But if you're able to make this into or those units into individual modules, then you don't really have to worry about that, because people, the people that will buy those will just stick them in with the effects that they have and the tools that they have, and make it really make it their very own. But no, I'm very excited about that. So
out of interest, in the chat, what percentage? How many of you in the chat think this would be better? Yeah, should we do a poll? As modules, individual models, or as a standalone unit? What do you think?
Right. Let me just set I have to go over here and just do some technical things. Thank you to all the new subscribers that we've seemed to have picked up in the. Oi, Samurai, pipe down. We'll have less of that. this guy is
Going
doing
on.
something very special on his own. Let him do his thing. Right. Where do I? Oh, here we go. Here's the poll here. Right. So start a poll. We've got a few questions to ask here. So the first question, what do you say it should be? Modules or standalone?
Yeah, should this be modules, individual modules, or a standalone unit?
Just a
That's the
thought:
first thing.
is the Vermona DRM1 is that got a sequencer on it, or is that just a drum synth,
You're asking the wrong
multi-voice drum synth? Yeah. Chat. Anybody? Vermona DRM, is it DRM1? Is that? I don't think that's got a sequencer on it either. And that's an existing. I think they were selling for $799. He says.
Right. There is a poll in the chat right now asking whether you prefer Euroact modules or a standalone unit. So that's the first poll. So get your answers in that. Maybe we'll ask another question. Yeah, I'll give you 30 seconds.
So Brooksy says no, it doesn't have a sequencer. DRM
it doesn't.
has no
You're right. I'm
sequencer.
just looking now. No.
So, but what's the price of it? Is it about $799?
No, it's 373.
Ooh.
373 quid.
How many voices?
1, 2, 3, 4, 8. 8 voices.
Okay, so it's almost apples to apples then, yeah.
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 In terms of spec, yeah.
In terms of spec, not in terms of. I mean, I don't know if the Vermona's handmade, for starters, because that's going to be a thing, right? It's got. Has it got wooden? No, it's a rack, I think, isn't it?
It's a rack mounted thing. Yeah.
So we've
Sounds
got
very similar to
43
Kip.
votes.
Yeah.
I'll shut this down once we've if we give it a couple more seconds. 45, but I think the overwhelming majority here at the moment is.
Here we go.
There you go. Feedback is welcome.
There you
from
go.
Backlog Designs. There it is. We're almost up to 50 votes, and it's a clear 70-30 split in favour of a standalone unit.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely interest in modules. So maybe, maybe
both. Maybe because if you've got
focus on the
the
standalone.
R&D is the same, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go, maybe you just want the tom
Well, effectively, there
or the
are
cymbal,
3 designs on this board. There's the drum, there's the cymbal, and there's the clap. So, do the drum module on its own, or maybe
I'd love that.
Yeah, just do one little drum
That in
module.
my
And do that on
modular.
its
Yes,
own.
please.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do
As
a
well
bit
as
of
the drum
that.
machine.
Okay, so it's definitely yes. So we've got to 50 votes there. That'll do for now. So that's a 70-30 split in favour of the standalone. So there you go, Paul. What else did we maybe want to put to our viewers?
Hang on, I just want to put that in there. I thought it was
Okay.
higher than 379. So £759 for a Vermona.
Right.
So
So considering
I'm
that
just
this
looking.
is a one-man band, I would say if Paul was to charge in the region of say 850, that would
Maybe that's the next
probably
question. What would you pay for this?
Yeah, I think that's not an unreasonable amount when you consider the electronics and then the handmade case.
Okay, the 373, just so you know, was on eBay, and
There you go.
when I'm looking at a new price, it is more like 677. Most of what I'm seeing is second hand, but new 677, 540. No, 677. So yeah, I mean, if you could turn this out, Paul, at whatever it is, I think Rob is probably in the right ballpark, 600, 700, 800 quid, and it was standalone with its own sequencer.
How much would you pay? Less than 700 or more than 800? Okay, if Paul offered it to you for more than 800, would you be prepared to pay it?
Look at what else is available.
Exactly.
And what is it that you're doing, Paul, that's different from them, that adds the value, that makes people want to have it? Because there are some other things out there. But I think I like the sound of what you played. I like the sound of it.
Yeah.
You could even do a half version of that and have 4 modules. Was it 2 drums, a cymbal, and a clap, just in a small. That would
putting a compressor in it with something like this. Putting a compressor in it wouldn't be a huge overload in terms of components or whatever, but it would add a lot to it. Putting in a bucket brigade device, delay, distortion. So a few effects might give it some more. That might. A mixer might, so you can mix it, and a sequencer. Yeah. That for me would be something that I'd be really interested in getting. But maybe that then takes it in too much into the territory of others. So, you know, I support you fully in doing something like this.
That's
I really
not a bad
do.
idea from Nick there. Make it into a modular style case so people can buy, say, the 8-rack case.
Oh, that's a great idea, Nick.
One or two modules at a time, and then build your system. That could be an option.
And sell it with the blanking plates, you know.
Yeah.
So you've got I'm saving for the rest.
Yeah. Saving for the rest.
For the rest. And it's like I'm
the rest.
The rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah. But listen, I mean, we love to champion. We love to champion the small guys on here, and that's I think that's a really nice thing to see. And it just took me by surprise today, and pleasantly so. So in terms of what people would pay, it's kind of 75-25 in favour of being under the 700 mark. But there's clearly people that would pay more than 800 for it, and I think that as long as he's not losing any money on it, we have to remember that we do live in a financially volatile world these days.
So Nick's idea of doing it a module at a time, but in something so you can start filling up, I think that's a really good idea. That makes the getting point, the entry point, much simpler.
Yeah. So it's definitely a doable thing. Well, listen, to our audience members, thank you for participating in the poll, and hopefully that's given Paul some food for thought. But I do think that
R&D.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look forward to at some point, having to play with one of these and listening to it in the flesh. It does sound a lot of fun. So well done, Paul. Congratulations on coming up with that idea. Because in the face of adversity, necessity is the mother of all invention. And the fact that you can't do your main business now has kind of led you down this path. And I think we're all going to be the richer for it. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Watch this space. We will we'll try and get Paul on the show at some point when he feels it's ready to do. But good luck with that, and thanks for keeping me in the loop. Look forward to hearing more. Right, there are a couple of other bits of news. Let me just clear the decks here because I've got so much stuff going on the screen, and it's confusing me. Right, so we're going to talk about a couple of synthesizers that were launched this week that are have lots of things in common. But
is Samurai still in the chat?
I should hope so. I should blooming
Samurai, make yourself known.
Indeed. This is the first one we're going to talk about, and of course, it's something that's finally come to pass. The company promised it, or certainly teased it a couple of years ago. It's now available to order and will be shipping shortly. It is the 2XM from Behringer.
So, if you're a lover of pure analog vintage synthesis, then this one will certainly be speaking your language, with some of the most lusted after oscillator and filter tones, and inspired by one of the most iconic synthesizer expander modules of the 1970s. This one is pure analog fire. It's the 2XM. So when it comes to analog circuitry that stands the test of time, few are as iconic as this one. A synthesizer expander module born in the 70s, whose influence still resonates today and is considered a hallmark of analog synthesis. And the 2XM faithfully captures this legendary tone and finally brings its magical character into the modern era. So the 2XM features not one, but two fully featured voices of this legendary expander module, with each having its own dual oscillators with saw and pulse wave, with pulse wave modulation, oscillator sync, dual envelopes, LFO and modulation routing. There's also noise generator and external input in the mixer section, and of course they both have that character defining filter that oozes that famous warmth and analog charm. with the added versatility of having low pass, high pass, and band pass modes. And the best part, it packs 2 independent synths into one sonic monster, turning it into a creative powerhouse for even the most humble of synth tweakers.
There we go. Caught me by surprise there, the way that ended. I had to edit the official video down a little bit. So, yeah, it's the Behringer 2XM. It is available to order now from wherever you buy your Behringer musical instruments from. Let me just bring the website up on the screen. There we go. Can somebody remind me how to do these images rather than opening them up in your new tab? Because I don't like the way that every time you hover over them, they just go super large.
Zoom.
Yeah. But this is, of course, essentially 2 SEM modules or clones of SEM modules in a Eurorack style format that can be taken out of the case and put into your Eurorack rack. Do you call it Do you call it a Eurorack rack, or do you just call it your
No,
Eurorack?
you call it skiff.
Skiff. Oh, a skiff. Okay.
Yeah, it's got a name and everything.
I thought that's what Jabba the Hutt had in return.
Oh, he did. He did.
Yeah.
Did you not
Jabba's
realise?
skiff.
Just click on the image, Robbie. It should blow it up, and then you should be able to.
But it doesn't.
That's the thing. This made my pocket itch when I saw this.
It what? Sorry.
Like this made my pocket itch when I
Yeah.
saw this. It twitched like the LM for you. You know, I was like, oh no.
It's a classic sound.
Sorry, Robbie. Go to the one above the video. Go to the image above the video. Yes. I think that's where you click. Oh, that was the one you were on, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, right. Okay, sorry. It's working on mine.
So anyway, 2XM. So it's two of the SEM modules plus a patch bay and that master section that allows you to mess around with it a little more. I've been told that you can polychain these, so it would be interesting.
Everything they do, I think, is pretty polychainable.
Yeah,
that's part of the mission. Is that buy 1, but buy 4.
Yeah, and then you can have essentially an 8 voice, which would be pretty impressive.
I think Wagoo's bought some already, or he's pre-ordered.
Probably.
Do I remember that wrong? But that would be the thing to do, wouldn't it? It
would be interesting to know how it allocates the voices. So I just want to know how that works. I've not seen any obviously only Behringer have got these at the moment. But it's a nice thing, and the price is rather tasty too, if I recall. I'm just going to try and
£230.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Yeah, Wagoo did. He bought 4 to do the Oberheim 8 voice thing. Yeah, he did.
Okay, well we will.
Read that somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna try and get one in for review. Just so I don't. I can tell myself that the GeForce software I've got is enough for me, and that my Pro 3 is enough to give me my Oberheim fix. You know.
So
that's what they do, isn't it? It's the candiness. It's the Behringer kind of like it's the worm on the hook. It's the. I don't need it.
Yeah.
How can I? It's 200 and what? Oh my goodness!
I know.
So here's the thing.
Price, yeah.
Here is the thing. At 230 quid, I mean, less than 500 quid, you've got a 4 voice. It's stupidly cheap. Well, yeah, I know they didn't clone the knobs, but it's 230 quid.
You'd never get them all.
It's in Euro.
And it's a 2 voice with 4 oscillators, 2 independent synths, essentially. It sounds pretty bloody good, doesn't it? And, putting anything else to one side, it sounds amazing at that price. I will probably go and get one, or maybe even 2, because I've got this
community
thing I'm going to be working on.
Just have one.
It's a great thing. It sounds like a great thing, and it looks pretty good. So,
I
230 quid. If it breaks, I go and get another one.
It's not very environmentally friendly.
No, it's not. But
recycle it.
So I'm fixated on this.
Hang on,
this polychaining concept.
Then? How did a USB? It's got a. Yeah, you're right. How does it? It's got one MIDI through on it. Where's is it? Hang on, the front panel's got.
There's a MIDI in on the top. Yeah.
There you go.
And then you take it out. So I
I
guess you
think
could.
that's losing out, isn't it? As well, maybe.
It's probably a soft,
Yeah.
an out and through, and you just choose in the configure, in the Synth Tribe app. You probably have to do that. I'm just are the dip switches there because they there to choose the MIDI channel.
Channel, yes.
So then I guess that's how you would start to polychain these by selecting. Yeah.
So it's then it is by MIDI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be interesting. Be very interesting to see what happens.
We know someone who's bought enough to do that for us. So
Well, yeah.
that's that's definitely it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's missing the sample and hold and a couple of other things, isn't it? But
I mean, what was
it's
the
230 quid.
There was a SEM that was Tom Oberheim released, wasn't there, a couple of years back?
Yeah, a few years ago.
And that was not, beautiful as it was, and obviously big knobs, and of course the pedigree is accurate, but 230 quid.
Yeah.
This is what they do. This is what they do. It's catnip.
Yeah.
Catnip, synth.
Indeed. Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know whether could you use the patch points for polychaining. I don't know. I'm just interested to see.
It'll be in the
that
manual,
works.
won't it? Definitely.
Because I have a feeling it's not going to do it quite like the original does it, but maybe there's a way to do that. Because that was the beauty of an 8-voice, was the fact that each module, even if you sort of like painstakingly lined everything up on each module, none of them would be quite exactly the same as the other ones. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do that. But what a way to get an 8-voice in hardware, so very interesting.
I'm just looking at this. Does it say? I think on the MIDI, just below the MIDI in on the front panel, it has a switch which says, "Is it line or link? Line, split, duo."
No, it's
or is that link?
No, it's
link, split, duo. A sign just below the MIDI in port.
Yeah. I'm just bringing it up on the.
Is that link?
Screen. So it says it's an assigned switch that says uni something.
Uni.
Duo. So it's unison.
Unison, yeah, of course.
I don't know what that one is in the middle.
Split. So two separate MIDI channels,
split,
probably.
Yeah, split. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Unison, split, duo. Yeah.
So almost certainly this will be done via MIDI, won't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's 230 quid.
As well.
Yeah, but there you go. So that's Behringer's 2XM is finally available. You can order it now. I think shipping is going to be sort of like 4 to 8 weeks, depending on where you have bought your unit from. Obviously, the Behringer's super partners, or whatever they call them, are going to get these first. But that wasn't the only SEM clone that was announced this week. There was another one, and I've stupidly gone and pressed the wrong button there, so I'm just going to fill here just for a second whilst I bring this in. Here it is. It is from NR Synth. It is the Solo. Now this is much more like it in terms of looking like the original, because it comes in that very SEM-like box. There it is, but it's not entirely laid out the same, but it does have a lot of similarities. But this is a lot more expensive. This is about €1,350,
which is what you would expect to pay, really,
exactly, for something that's hand built that kind of does a very good job of. Because this has the thing though. Well, the thing with the Behringer one, and a lot of people were asking, does it have the discrete, the discrete circuitry that the original has? This one does. Not sure. Not so much sure about the Behringer one.
Well, did you
could make a difference to the purists?
Yeah, absolutely. But did you see the interview that Sweetwater did with Uli?
I did.
Like last week. That was quite an interesting thing. I think he was talking about how getting it to sound as close to the original. I think that was mentioned in there. But yeah, can you do the price, R&D, and
well, they don't do R&D. Let's be honest.
They don't do R&D, but I suppose
Yeah, that was an interesting interview. I mean, it was nice to see him sat down on a blanket on a sofa.
Was he on a blanket?
Yeah, it was a blanket. He was.
I'm going to look at that again. I missed that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know whether, because I know he's a vegan, and I don't know whether that was a leather sofa, and that was maybe the compromise. I don't know, but it was odd. A lot of people
Yeah,
kind of picked him up
Americans
on
love
that.
a bit of leather, don't they? Literally.
Yes.
Thing is,
But,
even doing this as a direct copying, there is still R&D going on here. To be honest,
oh, there'll be some, but
there
obviously not
have to
as
be.
much as
It's not
as-
from scratch, but
Yeah.
then you're copying something else. So,
Exactly.
and I've got to say on the Solo, the NR Synth Solo, I'm not seeing sample and hold on there either. The Solo does sound good. But
Unfortunately,
so does
I can't play any of the solo demos because they are all covers of very popular pieces of music, and they're very good covers. And unfortunately, I don't want to get a copyright strike because that would be a nightmare. But no, I mean, just popping back to that Uli Berenger interview, I thought it was nice to actually sort of see him sat down talking with other people in a very kind of relaxed environment. I was just disappointed that, and it was understandable they weren't going to ask him the difficult questions, the questions that some people would like to hear his thoughts and his reasoning and his rationale on. But of course, Sweetwater are one of his super partners, and they're obviously not going to taint the pool, shall we say? So, it was nice to see, but I would appreciate it, and I think a lot of people would appreciate it if somebody asked him, fairly the hard questions and see what came up with that. But no, it's
And sorry, I noticed that actually for this for the Solo here, there is sample and hold.
There you go.
So that's one thing. It's bigger knobs,
but again,
who knows?
The thing that always pops into my head. I mean, it was interesting that these came out both in the same week, and of course, when the Behringer one appeared, you had all the people going, "Yay, brilliant! This is fantastic! I'm really tempted, and this is great, and it's only 200 and something quid." And then, of course, you had the other side of the coin where people go, Behringer. And yet this comes out, and nobody goes, "Oh, they're just copying the Sims." Nobody accuses, or certainly nobody delivers the same amount of vitriol to this company as they would to Behringer.
To Behringer, yeah, and I think we've seen. I mean, was it Boomstar that did a SAM or a small?
It's been done before for sure.
Something of this form factor, and I think it was Boomstar. I don't know who made that, and you could pick which filter type to have with it, whether it was a Moog ladder, whether it was the SEM filter, or there was a third one. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was a CS80 filter, actually. I think.
Yeah, the Boomstar. I've got it here.
But I think they were
475.
sub thousands. But we are talking, gosh,
that was Studio Electronics, wasn't it, that did that?
Studio Electronics, yes, yeah, there we go. Studio Electronics, and again, I mean, talk about cloning. That's their whole business. Studio Electronics was Moog, Mini Moog, because he couldn't buy a new one, so that's what they did. So in defense of the Behringer kind of thing, they're not the first to do this, and
they weren't the first, and they won't be the last.
So this is a French company, yes?
Who's that? Studio Electronics.
Yeah.
Oh no, you mean for the Solo?
For the Solo, NR
yes,
Synth.
they are French. They're going to be out. They're actually going to be at the French Synth Fest, which I believe is not next week. The week after, I think, or it's in about a week or so's time. So if you're able to go to Synthfest France, But I mean, it's a classic sound. That Oberheim SEM sound is a classic sound, and if you can't afford the real thing, or should I say, if you can't afford to maintain the real things, because they are quite expensive. This is probably your best way of getting into that world. But I'll be interested to see what people think of that 2XM once it hits the stalls and starts landing in people's.
They're going to have lots of people pre-ordering, and I'm probably one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although looking at the NR site as well, they do something called the Ancestor ARP SEM. That looks like a mighty beast. It's in under NOS models, Ancestor ARP. Yeah, that's a beautiful looking thing. It reminds me of the Macbeth. A Macbeth M something for MX5, is it?
M5X.
Yeah. M5X, whatever it is. Yeah, reminds me of that. But this is a nice looking thing. Nice looking thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Here we
I
go.
sold one of those to Koshin back in the day.
Yeah.
An M5X, yeah. Koshin.
and
Are
you're
you
quite
hungry?
right. Why do we not give these people the same amount of? Why don't they get the same amount of grief as Behringer?
Yeah.
Software as well. Software have been doing it. I mean, Arturia. I mean, I remember Arturia getting a little bit of it back in the day as well for doing software.
They did, but
versions.
then I always think there's a wider gap between doing something in software and as a copy of something that's in hardware, because there's so much more different, other than the fact that one physically exists on your desk and the other one is kind of in the ether on your computer. Yes, they are inspired by those originals, but they're not necessarily copying the hardware designs in hardware. They're copying them in software, which I think takes obviously a much different skill set.
Yeah.
I just think that there's more room for maneuver, or more room to get away with something in software. But that's just in my head. I know a lot of people.
Yeah. I think you're onto something there, and I think if Kent was here, he would be screaming about how they always cloned the wrong thing, uncalibrated, and I think that's a lot to do with it as well. So
Yeah.
you are getting
By the way,
something that's
Kissing the Machine is on the train just over there somewhere. So I'm going to wave at you. Okay, he's literally
not
dropped
near
over
me.
past the
Can't
bottom of my road.
far away.
Hello, dear news.
On his
away.
way home to Norwich, I'm sure. Quite right, as Kosh had just said, emulation isn't cloning, and that's I do try and stick or steer away from using the word cloning, because technically the word cloning means you're making an identical copy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they don't. No. When I say they, I mean Behringer. They don't make it, copies. If they sail very close to the wind in that regard, but not. And again, modeling isn't copying. So
that's true. Yeah.
But I guess that's everyone's opinion. Very quickly, we've got about 6 minutes left on the show.
Where's the 2 hours gone?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? It just disappears.
Happen?
Obviously, things have happened politically across the pond in America with the tariffs situation. We are going to see, certainly our American cousins are going to be seeing some rather sharp increases, because so much stuff comes from China, which have just had a 34% tariff slapped on anything that comes out of there into the United States. Japan have been hit with the same sort of thing. Malaysia, I think, basically most of Southeast Asia has suffered.
Vietnam,
as a result.
46%.
Apart from the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea, which I always think is a fantastic misnomer. They've had nothing, no tariffs whatsoever. But certainly here in the UK, yes, there are American made synthesizers. I'm thinking, Moog, Sequential, Oberheim, Groove Synthesis, and then probably a few others as well. Yeah.
Alice's group, that
it's a lot of their stuff is designed in the US, but actually comes in from. So I don't know how any of this works out, but it's going to hit our community at some point around the world.
Well, unless you're buying Russian synths, in which case you won't get any tariffs at all.
Here's
Wonder
an
why
opportunity
that is.
for the Russians to start buying quality synthesizers for the hand of Lenin. So it is crazy, but we can only wait and see what transpires. But it will be interesting. But I suppose for those of us within the not just obviously stupidly us Brits aren't in the European Union anymore, but for those of us within the continental reaches of Europe, where our tariffs are obviously a lot less, nothing will really change for us, and a lot of stuff is built and made over here anyway. So it's just going to be a very torrid and horrible time for everyone, not just the synthesizer community. But
there'll be workarounds. I mean, you think about the way that people like Gear for Music and Thomann, actually maybe not Thomann, but Gear for Music, they deal in Europe by having a warehouse over there. So it's Gear for Music EU, not Gear for Music .uk. So there'll be something that someone can do that. I mean, Korg UK, for instance, is a UK company.
Yes.
Representing, a Japanese, brand.
Yeah.
So there'll be workarounds for that, and I think
Yeah,
you'll see some creative sort of business.
Accounting, yeah.
Yeah,
The massaging of the numbers.
Yeah, massaging indeed.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous situation.
It's awkward at best.
Because
awkward.
And the other thing it's going to it's already wiped. I forget how many trillions it wiped off the stock market on that Tuesday alone.
£4.90.
Yeah, but the markets are crashing. Way below what they said. What did they hear today? They said there hasn't been a drop in the markets like this since COVID, which is kind of a scary thought. But also, we're going to see all the prices go up for consumers. It's going to affect inflation. It's going to maybe put some countries into recession, if not globally. It's going to cause a whole string of things. And so even if it does or doesn't affect the price of synthesizers, it's going to affect the money that's in our wallets or in our bank accounts at the end of the day, which therefore has a knock-on effect on what we're
and
able
it's
to
also
afford.
going to reduce prices over here as people look to dump stuff they can't sell to the US because of the tariffs.
Exactly.
So it's a shit show, but whatever it is. Buy synths.
Yeah.
Buy lots of them.
Buy
them now.
Who said that?
Yeah.
Division there. Buy British Sense. There you go.
Yeah.
Buy Tom
Analog
Carpenter's
Solutions for the win.
T5000.
Yeah, we should all buy Analog Solution stuff.
T5000. T5. All right, that will do as well.
Pocket sequence.
Pocket sequence. Yes. Anyway, that's enough politics. We don't want to do politics on the show, but it does affect our world and our community and the people in it. And I just hope that most, if not all, manage to survive. Anyway, that kind of nicely and neatly brings us to the top of the second hour of the show, where we can say goodbye to everyone. Now, I'm not going to be here next week because it's Record Store Day next Saturday.
It is.
And so I will be queuing up outside a record store in Bury St Edmunds.
With a tent.
No, I don't even have a tent. I'll check the weather. Hopefully the weather's going to be okay. So I'll just have my little, what do they call it? The fold-up chair things.
Foldy chairs.
Yeah, foldy chairs. And the sleeping bag and plenty of layers just in case it gets a little bit freezing. And then I'll be spending stupid money on silly records. But there you go.
But that's a good thing to do.
On cassettes, haven't you?
Quite.
That's a good thing to do.
So
hopefully Kent will be better by then.
Hopefully Kent will be better. Jason, you're going to see if
I'm on standby.
You're on standby. So
it's likely that we'll be back on the Friday, but it depends on what time.
Well, I'm sure that we'll get it covered somehow. That's not a problem.
We will.
It's not
but happy to help if I am able. Because
thank you very much. Thank you. We'll be back same time, same place next week with more of the shenanigans. Thank you to everyone who watched. Don't forget, there are loads of other streaming events going on throughout the weekend and the rest of the week. So we've got Andy Synchrotron, his droning stream at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Chore slot.
And then we've got Ramsey at 1 p.m. Well, actually, no, Ramsey's going to be at a different time now because they don't do daylight savings. We're now in daylight savings. So it might be 12 o'clock. It might be 2 o'clock. I'm not entirely sure. But if you go to Ramsey's channel and subscribe and hit the notification
button,
you'll be fine. It'll take care of it.
I think it's 12 o'clock, but there we go.
Yeah, we've gone forward an hour, but he hasn't. So
we're getting closer to him. Therefore, it's 12 o'clock. Yeah.
No, Ian says 2. So
there we go. That's exactly what I said. 2 o'clock.
Ian should notice. He'll be on the show.
Exactly what I said. 2 o'clock.
2 p.m. We're back to 2 p.m. until it starts getting dark again. Who else we got? We got Jamie Geosynths at 6 p.m. on a Sunday. We've got this man down here, there
with the
cats, jamming in his gym jams. With his cats. Sunday at what time?
At 10 p.m. UK.
10 p.m.
10 p.m. UK.
And we do tend to go over a bit at the moment because I've had a couple of weeks of random sort of gremlins and things, and I've changed lens and the camera and stuff, so things have been a little bit more less music focused. And like, this isn't working. Why is it? Technical things on streaming is it's a world of its own.
Indeed. Symptoms of Reality as well every day,
always
different times. So again,
popcorn
subscribe
night tonight, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, popcorn night tonight.
Absolutely. Other communities.
Also, I need to remind anyone from our community that is going to Super Booth this year that Carl Bedford, our wonderful Carl Bedford, who is still in the chat, is organising our kind of annual meal out. We're working with our friends over there in Berlin. Last time there was about, I don't know, 10 or 12 of us at a nice big pizza place. And we had a great laugh. It's going to be on Thursday night. So it'll be Thursday is it 8th of May? So if you're in Berlin
The 8th
for
of
Super
May.
Booth, yeah.
Motorhead Day.
So Carl will be there. I'll be there. Metley will be there. Fernandez will be there. Who else will be there? Tracker Jack will be there. Ben Breslin will be there. Unfortunately, no Mark and Cheryl this year because they're gigging, so they can't make it to Super Booth. Peter James Stephen will be there. A whole bunch of other people will be there. And Andrew Schlesinger is about to join us as well, so that's really cool. And hopefully AD Vision will come along as well, but I think he's landing on the Thursday, so it might be a bit of a rush to get over. But anyway, if you are in the vicinity, get in touch with Carl Bedford and give him your deets, as the kids say these days, and he'll add you to the WhatsApp group, or at least keep you informed.
Who's going to buy cake and bring it back for me? Huh?
No cake makes it out of Berlin alive. There's some great cake, especially
I need cake.
in Kreuzberg. There's a lovely place in Kreuzberg that my friend Mark took me to a couple of years ago, and they do amazing cake.
What's that? What's Wagyu saying? Well, don't forget that. Oops, hello. Sorry. What's that? The
Joker?
I don't understand what he means. What does he mean? Wagyu,
No,
what do you
no
mean?
idea. Oh, and by the way, Chris Blythe, who's in the chat, happy birthday. Let's all wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
He's 28 this year. Would have been 29, but he was sick again.
Happy birthday.
Don't forget the Joker. The ace, of course, yeah. Ace of spades.
Oh, I see. Oh, the joke.
Yeah, you see.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. With that, it's gone. Anyway, looking forward to that. So again, if you can make it to the meal on the Thursday, the 8th of May in Berlin, somewhere, I don't know where we're going. We generally leave that to Ben Breslin, who's a local. He'll sort that out. But look forward to seeing more people. We'll build up to Super Booth as we go through the weeks, and I'm hoping to do a little bit of extra content this time.
Extra content.
Do some work.
There with your roving
That'd
mic.
be a first.
I've got my
And get
gimbal and everything. Oh, it's so cool.
and get fed one evening. That would be good.
Well, I'm going out for dinner with Metley on the Wednesday night. That finally, he's buying me dinner. The dinner.
No,
yes,
I don't believe it.
I will take pictures. I will take.
I want
pictures.
to see them. I want to see him taking pictures of handing his credit card over.
Yes,
I want that
absolutely.
picture.
We'll do that for sure. So there you go. And don't forget to support the channel if you can. That helps us. Give us a thumbs up down below right now.
Like,
fantastic.
Yes,
it,
click
now.
like.
Like it. If you're
Click
watching
like.
catch up, still like it.
78. Keep going.
Keep going.
Like it.
Go on, keep going. We had lots of viewers in tonight. Really, really delighted with that, and hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, on the Patreon page, there'll be some free patches, and of course, Woody's fantastic inspirations will be going up there for our stuff.
Thank you, Woody.
So yeah, go for that. So until next week, when I won't see you, but maybe I'll drop in from the queue if the weather's not too bad. We will see you all same time, same place next week. Have a fantastic weekend. Make loads of music. Have lots of fun. Don't forget to watch that guy on Sunday and all the others as well. And have a fantastic weekend. Take care, everyone. See you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.